Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, and today we are breaking down the most prestigious tournament in golf, that is the Masters, with Andy Lang at Bump Sports on Twitter. Welcome in, Andy. Currently #1 golf handicapper over the last 365 days at WagerTalk. Before we get into any more promos, though, we got to break down this gigantic Masters card. It is going to be bonkers, and we get to add the live guys into this one. So it's going to be pretty fun. I know there's a lot of storylines, so I'll let you get into it.
Yeah, this has got to be one of the most unique Masters tournaments we've ever had. So I thought we'd talk about some of the storylines, and you just hit the nail on the head. I think the #1 storyline by far is the live players returning to Augusta. You've got Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, Cam Smith, a lot of these big name guys. And there's several layers to this. You know, the first layer is, do the other PGA golfers care as much as the viewers and the fans? I don't know. It's hard to say. Is there going to be a lot of tension? I don't know. Hard to say. And for me, the biggest thing I worry about with these live players, if you're fans of them, is have they lost their competitive edge? They got paid huge money by the Live Tour, and you look at some of these guys playing these cupcake courses on the Live Tour. Some of them don't really look like they care about winning anymore, and now they're going to come and play in the toughest golf tournament in the world. How good are they going to be, and how sharp are they going to be? You've got Cam Smith, who was just incredible form on the PGA Tour. Now he's struggling to keep within 10 shots of the leader on the Live Tour. Brooks Koepka's body looks like it's been breaking down for a while. Dustin Johnson, a little bit on the downswing of his career. A lot of big name guys, and certainly it's going to be one of the biggest storylines. So that's got to be the #1 storyline for the 2023 Masters. Next storyline, world #1, Scottie Scheffler, defending champion. Are we going to have a repeat winner? And I normally do not like betting on these big favorites, but I look at the list of golfers that are up at the top and have the shortest odds, and I keep coming back to Scottie Scheffler. I just can't poke any holes in his game. He's a defending champ, played good at the match play. He's been ripping off wins. He's #1 this year in total strokes gained. He's got a ton of guys coming after that green jacket, but can we see a defending champion? Can we see the #1 player in the world maintain that #1 ranking? It's going to be interesting to watch, and we will see how that plays out. And #3, this is the most boring storyline, but for us bettors, it's the most important, and it's going to be the one that people pass over and don't really worry about it until it hits us right in the face, and that has got to be the weather. And why do I bring this up? It looks like it's going to be wet and nasty. They are going to be getting rain. It may be during the day. It may be at night. This course is going to be wet, and it's already hard to get the ball to roll off of the tee at this course. So now you add moisture, and now these par 5s play longer. These par 4s play a lot longer. Maybe the greens are a little bit more receptive, but this changes the speed of the greens. These greens are probably the toughest greens in the world. And you have to look at what tee times are your golfers playing in. There's nothing worse, Kelly, than when you bet on a guy and then the weather comes out the night before and you're like, oh, great, he's going to be playing in the rain on Thursday morning. And the guy I bet against is playing in perfect conditions in the afternoon. So you have to look at the weather. Rain is 100% going to play an impact. The wind is going to get up to 15 miles an hour, maybe 20 miles an hour. So you have to look at the weather and when the tee times are of the guys. I can't stress it enough. It's the most important thing you have to look at as a bettor this week.
Very good point. We know that typically the Masters, the field can be wide open, and we've got some really elite players playing, but nobody really cares. They all want to talk about Tiger. This is going to be my third Masters show I'm doing this week. I got to think about it, and that's all I get in the comments section. Tiger, 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 Tiger. So talk to me about Tiger, Andy Lang.
Well, I know I don't normally like talking about him as well, but it's mandatory. I think they actually just passed a state law where we have to talk about Tiger Woods if you're doing a Masters video. All right, props are already out on Tiger, so I looked and looked and looked. And I think I found the best one, and I am gonna sprinkle this. This will be part of my plays. I'm gonna go with Tiger Woods to finish worse than 42.5. So Tiger has said the golf shots are fine. He doesn't have trouble hitting the golf shots. It's the walking and the plantar fasciitis and the car accident and all the surgeries that really takes its toll. Kelly, this is one of the hardest courses in the world to walk around. If you've ever been there, the hills, the contours are insane. So we look at what he did last year at the Masters. He finished 47th, but look at his round totals. He had a great round one, 71, and then 74 in round two, and they shot 78 in rounds 3 and 4. So he sneaks into the cut and then falls apart. Look at him earlier this year. He did play the Genesis where he finished 45th. That's outside this 42 and a half. This field is much tougher. Listen, nobody knows this course better than Tiger Woods, but I just don't think his body is up to the task of getting inside the top 40, not with the caliber of players that we have on tour right now. So I'm not going to be popular for this, but I'm going to be fading Tiger and say that the best bet is to take Tiger to finish worse than 42 and a half.
You know, a good friend of mine and bookmaker over at the Westgate, Jeff Sherman, told me this when I did my very first Masters preview, would have been 2016, I think, at CBS. He says, Kelly, you're never going to get good odds on Tiger. And that goes for some of the other big names as well. So keep that in mind, little asterisk. You will be paying a premium for Mr. Woods. Andy Lang, we just talked about some of the favorites, if you will. Now let's talk about some of those long shots.
This is not a tournament where you want to be putting a lot of money on long shots. There are some tournaments where it sets up well for a guy to come out of nowhere. Course history and experience is so important at Augusta, probably the most important course that you got to have the advantage there. We see debutantes struggle all the time, which makes these long shots really hard. However, this is one of the most confusing things in all of golf, Kelly, and that is why Mr. Cameron Champ plays so well at Augusta when he absolutely sucks everywhere else on tour. And I'm not kidding. He stinks. He hits the ball a mile. He just doesn't know where it's going to land. The guy can't putt. He has a slew of missed cuts this year, and he misses the cut every year. And yet he plays so good at one of the hardest tournaments on the planet. This guy has finished, let me look it up here. He's finished 19th, 26th, and 10th. In 3 years playing here. He cannot make the cut at some of the easiest tournaments on tour, and yet this 300-1 long shot finishes inside the top 40. You can get him at plus money just to finish inside the top 40. You can look and get a pretty good price on him just to make the cut. He does it every year. I don't know why. There's no logical reason because his stats are atrocious everywhere except for Augusta. So if you're going to lay money on a long shot, look at the 300-1 Cameron Champ. Look at some of his props to make the cut and finish inside the top 40.
Yeah, as somebody who's been dabbling a little bit in golf betting myself, been giving out some outright winners because we all know I love those long shots. Man, yesterday, if I would have just had Kuchar in the top 5, top 10, I wouldn't have cared what happened on Sunday. But man, that double bogey was all she wrote. That being said, Andy, give yourself a little self promo before we get your best bet.
Well, I mean, golf is one of the sports that brought me to WagerTalk, and we're continuing to do well. We've never had a losing season since we've been at WagerTalk. Number one, last 365 days. We're up 20 units already this year. And we're just going to put up our Masters pack and have all the plays for the entire week. So you'll have all of our plays before they tee off. And then if we see some really good opportunities throughout the tournament, such as, maybe some round 2, round 3, round 4 plays, we're going to be looking hard at the weather and see if we can get an advantage with some of those. So this pack will include all plays throughout the Masters. Looking forward to another profitable tournament.
All right, I love that for you. And I love that for me as well because I get to sneak into the back end and see what you're playing. That being said, give me your best bet for the 2023 Masters.
So I will go with a guy who I have been making money all year on, and I'm not going to stop, and that is Jason Day. And I'm going to take him over live defector Dustin Johnson. So Jason Day, the last couple years, he's been really bad. And last year, he was very open that he really, really struggled. His mom passed away. He didn't deal with it well. And he talked about in the offseason that he really got some counseling, and it really changed his mental focus. So his mind is in the right spot. And then he made a couple tweaks to his swing. And the results this year, Kelly, have been absolutely incredible. He finished 5th at the match play, and before that, 19th, 10th, 9th, 5th, 7th, 18th. This guy is on an absolute tear. This used to be the number 1 player in the world. So we know he has the pedigree. And this year, it's just clicking. He looks like the old Jason Day, and he's been an absolute cash cow. I'm going to take him head-to-head against Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson was a little bit on the downswing in his PGA career before he jumped over to live. I know he's a former winner, but he won that Masters in the crazy 2020, where that tournament was actually in the fall. It was not in the spring like every other tournament. It was in the fall. He's had a missed cut at the Masters since then. I don't believe he's the same Dustin Johnson that we saw in his prime. I think he's on the downturn. I think he's lost a little bit of his edge going over to Live Tour. I know he's got good experience and he's got good history at the Masters. This is a different part of his career. I'm going to take Jason Day, who I've been riding all year, to go head-to-head and beat Dustin Johnson from the Live Tour as my best bet.
Love that, Andy. At Bump Sports on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following Andy over there so you don't miss out on anything he has up over at WagerTalk.com. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Kelly.
Coco snort right in the background.